Welcome to another Life Food Balance Method episode. I'm your host, Jelena. I am nutritionist and nervous system reset coach and somebody who is passionate to provide you value in a relationship with how the stress and the burnout impacts not just our mental state, but our digestion, our energy, our mood, and everything that's happening around us. Today's topic I'm very passionate about, and it's all about the weight loss. Why am I passionate so much about it? Because what I see as a pattern happening is that a lot of you, whenever you feel like you need to lose some weight or change the way you eat or exercise, especially with women, what we do first, we go on a diet. Now, when I hear the word diet, before a lot of people will cringe. They were like, oh, I can't. I'm doing it again. I'm going to restrict myself from doing all of the things that I love. And you already start to build that stressors inside of your body, thinking not yet another diet. Now, who can relate to that? I'm sure that if you're listening, at least once in your life, you were in that position, not again, not another diet. But let me tell you first a little secret regarding the actual word diet. The actual word diet comes from the Greek word dieta, which means a lifestyle. And unfortunately, over the past decades, the word itself got 100% opposite connotation. It creates pain, it creates discomfort, it creates resentment, it creates that pushback when we hear that we need to go yet another diet in order to lose weight. So, what's happening when you are dieting? And the first thing, let's say the basic thing, you're cutting out carbohydrates, you're cutting out sugar, and you will eventually, of course, start to lose weight. But the problem with this is that once you start cutting out stuff inside of your life, your brain won't have anything to substitute that habit for. So it's the same with smoking, it's the same with any habits. We're creatures of habits. So what we need to do here, and this is what I teach in all of my program, it's not about cutting things. It's about changing the perception of how we look at things and then find another habit to replace the old habit with. Because if you just take out something out of your life, let's say you take the bread out, you take the pasta, you take the pizza, whatever you love, but that you don't replace it with anything else that will provide you the same pleasure as the pasta, pizza, or bread did, then you will start craving it more and more. That's why people, a lot of the times, look, me included, failed completely in holding up a diet because in a couple of weeks, when you go to a party, you will see that pasta or pizza or bread and you will crave it so much because you're missing the important link. And unfortunately, with diets alone, that's why there have a lot of long-term yo-yo effects, is because at the long term, if we don't change the habit that was creating us pleasure. For example, if you're in a stressful situation and you know that when you come home, you'll have a piece of chocolate or a glass of wine or something that will help you to go from this pain to this pleasure. The point is, if you take that pleasure away, you're going to still be in pain and you won't have anything to replace that with. So eventually, even when you finish the diet after 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, however long you're on a diet, eventually you will again come back to that pleasurable state like ice creams and breads and pastas and whatever it's giving to you. Because unfortunately, there was no building blocks. We weren't building solid foundation and changing the lifestyle. That is where the stressors come in, and that is where we start having issues with yo-yo weight and yo-yo dieting. So how does this work? The moment, for example, your doctor or naturopath or nutritionist tell you, okay, we need to go on a diet in order to, let's say, help you with digestion, your weight loss, or anything like that, you think to yourself, oh my God, not again. I've tried a gazillion of things, nothing worked. When you start talking to you like that, in that language, you're sending, your brain is sending signals to your gut. I'm not safe again. I'm ashamed. There's going to be a lot of pain. I'm going to suffer again. In that mode, your nervous system starts pumping up. Your cortisol levels starts to rise up because again, there's too much pain and not enough pleasure. In that moment, your digestion will shut off like a rock. So no matter literally what you put on it, you're not going to be able to absorb it. Because during the fight and flight mode, and especially when that fight and flight mode is constant, literally every single day, your brain is sending the signals to your body saying it, I'm not safe. You need to shut off the digestion process. Because let me explain to you, digestion takes the majority energy out of you. That's why if you're feeling sluggish or low in energy and tired and depleted all the time, it's because your gut is not working properly. Research shows that actually gut is your first brain, not your second brain. So if that is not functioning properly, everything else will unfortunately be in disbalance. And that is due to a lot of the stressors and cortisol levels we've been literally living and programming throughout majority of our lives. So as long as your digestion is hard as rock, as long as you don't feel safe in anything that you're doing, that's why even with the weight loss, even if you notice you're losing weight, what you're actually losing is your muscles, your nutrients, your vitamins, your minerals. Because as creatures, we need everything inside of our lives in moderation. But if we start cutting things drastically without regulating our nervous system, without dealing with the stressful situation, with the balancing our dopamine levels and our serotonin levels, and aka let me remind you, dopamine is your addictive hormone that gives you that kind of pleasure. Serotonin is hormone of happiness and calm. So if you're constantly in the fight and flight mode, and especially for women, weight loss is going to be way more harder. That's why I always say when clients come to me and they say, I want to lose weight, the first thing I do is I actually don't look at the weight. I look at their mindset. I look at how they're living, where their stressors, how they're in a way surviving their own life. So then I can teach them to regulate, to calm, to balance, so they can feel safe and open up their digestion. Because the moment your beautiful digestion is open and you feel safe, the weight will start coming off very naturally because you'll be able to digest the food. You'll be able to absorb the nutrients. You're going to be able to provide your body with enough energy and collagen and everything it needs to thrive. But if every single time, every week or every day you think about yourself, I need to go on another diet, it creates additional stressors. It creates an additional pressure. So how you can reframe that? And you're probably wondering now, okay, I understand what you're talking about, but I have the biggest challenge because I need to lose 10 or 15 kgs or even 5 kgs. I have this stubborn belly fat that won't go away. For women and for men, the stubborn belly fat usually is indication that's your stress belly. That's how I call it, the stress belly. Because when again we're in constant fight and flight mode, whatever you put in your mouth, whatever type of food you put, and the reason why I'm saying is that I've been through that. I was eating raw and vegan and paleo, and I was eating the most cleanest diet ever, but I was in such a stressful state My mom passed away. We moved to Perth. We had so many challenges inside of our lives that nothing I ate, literally nothing. And I was off carbs, I was off gluten, I was off refined sugar, and all of these things. I still felt like the ton of bricks landed on me. I felt exhausted and foggy and bloated and gases and migraines. And I was eating the most perfect diet ever. That's when I figured out that until this is too crazy busy and you don't feel safe in it, nothing will change. So let me now give you 3 simple steps on how you can start regulating your nervous system daily. Now, when I say daily, I truly mean daily. This is not something you will do randomly. If you're going to do it randomly, not being consistent, shut off the video and don't listen to it because there's no point. Repetition is the mother of success. Repetition is the mother of key. I always ask, how did the baby start walking or crawling or doing any of these things? How did you learn to work or ride a bike? Because you were consistent. Now you need to ask yourself, do you have enough pain in your life to make this change? Because if you don't have enough pain, if that belly is not really bothering you, or you're fine with your weight, or bloating is just a bit, but yeah, it's fine, it's normal, it's not normal. If you don't come to that threshold to make a change, nothing will happen. So think about a situation that made you to move forward and make that change in your business, in your work, in your life, maybe even in your health. What was the point of contact which you said, I'm done. I'm done doing this. Think about that moment. Think about why you changed and use that to implement to create these 3 simple habits. Now, the first habit is going to sound completely berserk, but bear with me, okay? Because this habit actually changed the trajectory of my life. Every single morning, the moment I literally wake up and open my eyes, I'll say 3 to 5 things I'm deeply grateful for. The fact that I'm surrounded with the people that love me, that I actually have the health that is viable, that I have the energy, that I have excitement and all of that, that I have the roof over my head, that I have the ability to film these YouTube videos for you and give you value. But then also, together with the gratitudes, putting my hands on my chest, literally giving myself a bit of a cuddle and saying, I'm safe. I'm safe. I'm safe. When you say these kind of words, what's happening is that your cortisol level, you will speak to your brain and to your subconscious mind to tell you that it's okay. The world is okay. You are okay. You're not broken and there's nothing to be fixed. This is the first thing every single morning. The second thing is make sure you prepare a good 2 cups of filtered water with a bit of lemon, bit of a Celtic salt, and bit of a cream of tartar because it's high and rich in potassium. When we sleep, let's say if we sleep properly between 6 and 8 hours, we're naturally dehydrated. So when our body is dehydrated, our blood cells are very thick. They come pretty much crumbling on each other. They can't move. So in order for our bloods to start flowing, to wake us up naturally, we need water. So if you're taking your cup of coffee before the water and breakfast, please stop. You're literally destroying your health. And I will explain that in another video. But this time around, water. Have that water, and before you drink it, because you told yourself, I'm safe, I'm secure, your gratitude, you're in a positive mindset, then slowly sit down on your bed and slowly drink that water, being mindful, literally imagining that water flushing down all of the bacteria, all of the parasites, everything that needs to literally get out of your system. Once you do that, then the next very important step is to do deep breath work, because we need 4 things in order to survive: sleep, water, oxygen, and sun. Without these 4 things, we won't be able to survive as species. So, as I said, breath work. If it's a nice sunny day outside, but you have little kids, just go out in front of your door, in your garden, wherever you are, wherever you can, on your terrace, even open up the windows and do 10 to 15 deep belly breaths. So when you inhale, your belly will expand. When you exhale, you try to exhale as much as possible. Then inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. With that, what's going to happen is that you're going to breathe a fresh oxygen deeply inside of your brain. It will help open up the blood cells, the blood flow, because a lot of the times when we are fatigued or have migraines, it's because we don't have enough water and healthy oxygen inside of our brain. So let's recap. Write those 3 things down. Do them in this particular order every single morning for the next 28 days and see your life will transform. I can almost guarantee you that, but it all really depends on you. Gratitude, water, breath work. Because with that, you're telling your body, I'm safe, I'm okay. But also, you're giving yourself unapologetically you time in the morning. And it takes you 15 minutes. It doesn't take you more than that. Because the last thing you want to do is you want to be reactive the moment you get up. That's where you're shutting off your digestion. That's why you lack of energy. That's why you need coffee. So just by doing these 3 things every single morning will drastically improve your digestion, meaning that it will be then easier to start making a shift towards the weight loss. What does that mean? It means that when you want to make a lifestyle change towards losing weight, the first most important thing you need to do is regulate your nervous system. If you don't do that, weight loss won't be sustainable. So if these 3 things you're thinking, oh, I can't do that, then you need to find another ways to regulate your nervous system. For a lot of people, that is exercise, which is really good. Look, I tell it's really good to get the stress, physical stress out, but the mental stress will still stay. And that is the challenge, because that's what I see a lot of the sportsmen and the people who train a lot, and they're thinking that they are getting rid of the stress. They're getting rid of the stress in the physical level. They are literally shaking it off, but their mind is still occupying thinking about that problem that happened. So that's not really releasing anything. It's still keeping your digestion very close and very stuck. And the only way to do it is to start regulating the nervous system, putting yourself first, and having this 15 minutes of nervous system reset in the morning. My name is Jelena. If you like that video, make sure you subscribed and share it to a friend who needs to see that. Till next time, with love, light, and healing. Thank you.